Chapter 421. Songwen forcibly subdued Xing Xinshin, and after probing her spiritual sea, he found that her soul had not been harmed. It seems that her amnesia is just a temporary effect from the soul-searching technique, Songwen thought to himself. He knocked Xing Xinshin unconscious again, bound her with a spirit-binding rope, and left 2 sacred gu to guard her while he left the cave. Upon arriving at Fang City, Songwen first visited a cave dwelling and emptied its contents. The task he was about to carry out involved considerable risks, so he needed to be ready to flee at any moment. This cave dwelling might not be available again. Afterward, Songwen took out a transmission jade slip and sent a message to Xing Chang, "Young Master Xing. The woman you fought with yesterday is severely injured and trapped in a cave located thousands of miles away." Xing Chang's hatred for Xing Xinshin was evident, and he quickly sent a reply to Songwen. "Where are you now?" "On the east outskirts of the southern city. Wait there, young Master Xing will be there shortly." In less than a quarter of an hour, Xing Chang arrived hastily. "Wei Ding, where did you encounter Xing Xinshin?" Xing Chang asked. Songwen smiled. "A cave thousands of miles away. Recently, my resources were running low, so I planned to hunt some demon beasts and search for spiritual herbs. By chance, I saw Miss Xing entering a fissure alone. I waited outside the fissure for a long time but didn't see her come out, so I descended into the bottom of the fissure. I heard fierce fighting sounds coming from a cave. After the battle sounds ceased, I hid outside the cave for a long while but still saw no one coming out, so I risked entering the cave." "Young Master Xing, guess what I found inside?" Xing Chang's expression darkened as he urged, "Hurry up and say it." Songwen continued. "The cave was filled with poisonous creatures, and the one she was fighting seemed to be a poison cultivator. That poison cultivator was killed by her. However, Miss Xing seemed to have been poisoned by something, and her mind seems a bit unclear now." Xing Chang narrowed his eyes. "Are you telling the truth?" Songwen replied earnestly, "I wouldn't dare deceive young Master Xing." Xing Chang nodded in satisfaction. "You probably don't have the guts to lie." However, it seemed that Xing Chang had noticed a flaw in Songwen's story. He questioned, "You risked entering the cave. It must have been to take advantage of the situation, right?" Songwen became embarrassed, chuckling awkwardly as if his shameful actions had been exposed. Xing Chang gave him a disdainful look as if mocking him for thinking his petty thoughts could escape young Master Xing's keen observation. "Since that's the case, why didn't you kill Xing Xinshin and take her storage ring?" Xing Chang asked. Songwen replied, "Young Master, you don't know. Although Miss Xing is a bit dazed, she cultivates a certain demonic technique which has transformed her into the appearance of a 1,000-year-old corpse. Her physical strength is formidable, and I am no match for her. Also, I didn't dare to kill her. If I did, I would never escape the Xing family's pursuit." Songwen's explanation seemed flawless. A demonic technique? Xing Chang muttered to himself. He had a pleased expression on his face and began pacing, occasionally looking up at Songwen. It seemed he was questioning the truth of Songwen's words, yet also contemplating whether he should personally visit the cave. Songwen was somewhat surprised. Why was Xing Chang suddenly so thoughtful today? Or was it simply that he was afraid of death and didn't dare venture thousands of miles away? "I need to push him further to make him decide to go to the cave." After making up his mind, Songwen said, "Young Master Xing, let's report Miss Xing's predicament to the Xing family." Xing Chang looked puzzled. "Why should we notify the Xing family?" Songwen wore a greedy expression. "I've brought such important information to the Xing family, they will surely reward me handsomely." Xing Chang glared at him in displeasure. "You want to save that vile woman? Didn't you see how badly she beat me yesterday?" Songwen paused for a moment and asked, "Then what should we do about the situation?" Xing Chang responded coldly, "Take me to that cave. Young Master Xing wants to see it with his own eyes. You may not dare to kill her, but I have ways to make her wish she were dead." Songwen stared in shock at Xing Chang. "Young Master Xing, are you really going yourself? Didn't you say before that your mother won't allow you to leave Fang City?" Xing Chang straightened his back, his voice tinged with anger. "Wei Ding, how dare you look down on me? I'm a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator. You think some trivial matters like this are beyond my control." Songwen quickly apologized. "Young Master Xing, forgive me, I misspoke." He gestured towards the east. "Please, young master." Xing Chang took off on his sword, leading the way as they headed east. To avoid revealing any flaws to Xing Chang, Songwen had to suppress his speed, flying slowly on his sword. It took them half a day to reach the fissure over 10,000 miles away. Once they reached the cave at the bottom of the fissure, Songwen spoke. young Master Xing, Miss Xing is trapped in this cave. There are a lot of poisonous insects inside, so be careful. Xing Chang nodded and, after taking an antidote pill, did not rush into the cave. Instead, a white protective shield suddenly appeared around him. Song Wen narrowed his eyes. A magic shield. This shield was formed by someone infusing their spiritual power into Xing Chang at the cost of their own cultivation. It wasn't there when they captured the Tide Beast, so it must have been recently added. No wonder he's daring to leave Fang City now. Song Wen thought to himself. However, the shield wasn't very strong. It was likely left by a golden core cultivator. Song Wen knew it wouldn't take much effort to break it. You lead the way, Xing Chang ordered. Please follow me, young Master, Song Wen said, stepping forward into the cave. The poisonous insects in the cave had already been mostly cleared by Song Wen, and the two of them quickly reached the poison pit several miles underground. Inside the pit, Xing Xinxin was curled up in a corner, her face filled with fear and helplessness. Before entering the cave, Song Wen secretly instructed the sacred Gu to untie the spirit-binding rope and wake Xing Xinxin. Xing Chang looked at Xing Xinxin and cautiously asked, Xing Xinxin, do you recognize who I am? Xing Xinxin lifted her head, staring at Xing Chang with a blank expression in her eyes. Who are you? Ha ha. Xing Xinxin, so you're like this now. Xing Chang suddenly threw his head back and laughed wildly, as if startled by his laughter. Xing Xinxin curled up even tighter. She hugged her knees tightly, burying her head between them. Making herself as small as possible, it seemed that only this could give her some sense of security. Seeing this, Xing Chang laughed even more recklessly. His manic laughter echoed throughout the cave. Xing Xinxin, you've always opposed me since we were young. Relying on your higher cultivation, you often bullied me, making me lose face in my family, but now the tides have turned and you've become this fool. Just as Xing Chang was caught up in his moment of triumph, something unexpected happened. Bang! Xing Chang felt as if his back had been struck by an ancient ferocious beast. Had it not been for the protective magic shield, he would have been crushed into a puddle of flesh by the impact. He was sent flying out of the cave in midair. Still not understanding who had attacked him, he saw a silvery zombie leaping toward him. The zombie's claws gleamed with a cold, deadly light as they reached out to strike at him. Chapter 422. Bang! Xing Chang was knocked to the ground by the silver corpse's paw. The massive impact caused his head to spin. Feeling dizzy and uncomfortable, the silver corpse landed next to Xing Chang, its claws relentlessly attacking the magic shield. Gradually, the shield began to flicker and sway. Boom! The silver corpse's claws struck again. Finally, the shield could no longer withstand the attack. With a sharp crack, it shattered like glass, and the strands of spiritual energy dissipated into the air. Just as Xing Chang was in despair, thinking he was about to die under the silver corpse's claws, the silver corpse suddenly stopped. Taking the opportunity, Xing Chang quickly crawled and retreated, putting some distance between himself and the silver corpse. At that moment, he noticed that Wei Ding was leisurely walking up from behind. Wei Ding, what's going on? Why isn't the silver corpse attacking you? Wei Ding shook his head and, in response to Xing Chang's stupidity, was left speechless. Roar! Suddenly, a corpse's roar echoed through the cave. It turned out to be Xing Xinxin. She seemed to have awakened memories deep within her. Triggered by the silver corpse, she changed from her earlier confused, helpless state into a violent and brutal zombie, charging at Wei Ding. What awaited her was the claw of the silver corpse. The claw of the silver corpse struck her chest, and she was sent flying back at an even faster speed. Xing Xinxin crashed to the ground, blood pouring from her mouth. Her chest was visibly deformed, and she had broken several ribs. She was severely injured, but her eyes strangely regained clarity. Xing Xinxin glared at Wei Ding with a sinister look. It seems you've put a lot of effort into getting the focus spirit stab. But even if you brought Xing Chang, this fool, here, it's no use. He has never trained in the focus spirit stab. Xing Chang looked shocked. Wei Ding, you intentionally lured me here? This is all your trap. Xing Xinxin disdainfully glanced at Xing Chang. Fool, you still don't understand. Xing Chang stared at Wei Ding and the silver corpse standing beside him, his eyes wide in disbelief. He raised his hand and pointed at Wei Ding, terrified. You're a golden core cultivator. All this time, when you saved me twice, It was to get close to me, just to obtain the focus spirit stab. Song 1 was too lazy to argue with him and coldly said, Xing Chang, hand over your storage ring. Don't force me to take action. Xing Chang's face turned pale with fear. I'll give you whatever you want. Just don't kill me. In panic, he hurriedly removed the storage ring and threw it to Wei Ding. Wei Ding inspected the ring and Xing Chang's body to ensure there were no tracking marks or items that could threaten him. Then tossed the ring back to Xing Chang. Xing Xinxin had a soul-cutting talisman for protection, while Xing Chang only had a magic shield. The disparity in their status within the Xing family was vast. Xing Chang, holding the returned storage ring, was confused. Wei Ding, what do you want? As Xing Xinxin said, I don't have the focus spirit stabs method. Don't worry, as long as you cooperate with me, I won't kill you. Wei Ding said, I'll cooperate. I'll fully cooperate. Xing Chang quickly nodded. Give me the communication jade slip from your mother's hall. Wei Ding instructed. Xing Chang's storage ring contained several communication jade slips. These jade slips had no obvious markings, so Wei Ding couldn't be sure which one was from his mother. Why do you want the communication jade slip from my mother? Xing Chang asked. Wei Ding's cold, frosty gaze was the only answer. Xing Chang shuddered, nervously replying, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you now. He took out a communication jade slip from the storage ring and tossed it to Wei Ding. Wei Ding took the jade slip, studied it for a moment, and couldn't immediately determine whether it was the one from his mother. However, considering Xing Chang's fear of death, it should be real. He put the jade slip away, then took Xing Chang's storage ring, turning toward a corner of the cave to set up the yin-yang 4 symbols formation. After setting up the formation, Wei Ding threw both Xing Chang and Xing Xinxin into it. Don't blame me for not warning you. This is a 3rd level formation. Any wrong move could trigger the formation and cost you your lives. As his voice faded, Wei Ding vanished from the cave. Xing Chang stared at the cave entrance for a long while, confirming that Wei Ding had left before standing up carefully. He released a small fireball from his hand. The fireball was small, about the size of a fist, and its power was weak. The fireball flew toward the formation barrier. Bang! The fireball exploded. The formation barrier shimmered. A gust of wind suddenly appeared, quickly sweeping through the formation. Perhaps because the formation had only been hit by a small fireball, the wind wasn't very strong, and Xing Chang easily blocked it. However, Xing Xinxin didn't have it so easy. Her injuries were severe, and the wind caused her great pain, worsening her condition. Xing Chang, you fool, this is a 3rd level formation. Even if no one is guarding it, you, someone who knows nothing about formations, can't break it. If you want to die, don't drag me down with you. Xing Xinxin cursed angrily. Xing Chang, seeing Xing Xinxin lying on the ground in pain, angrily said, Xing Xinxin, you'd better show some respect. If you don't, you won't have to wait for that person to make a move. I'll send you on your way first. Xing Xinxin couldn't help but sneer. You'd sell out your own mother just to save yourself, and you still dare to talk big. A smug expression flashed across Xing Chang's face as he retorted, Who says I gave him my mother's communication jade slip? I gave him my elder brother's. If he dares to use it, my elder brother will notice something's wrong and he'll be doomed. That way you and I might have a chance to escape. You should thank me. The sarcasm in Xing Xinxin's eyes didn't fade. Simpleton. After the message is sent, when the person sees it's not your mother, how could he reveal himself easily? Even if your brother suspects you're trapped, how can he find this place in time? When he returns, he won't spare you. What you did wasn't saving yourself, it was trying to be clever and seeking your own death. Xing Chang's face changed drastically. What should we do now? Xing Xinxin coldly replied, Fool is fool, not everyone is as stupid as you. Although Xing Chang's face had turned a very ugly shade, he stubbornly raised his head and spoke firmly, Even if I die, I will never let my mother take any risks. Xing Xinxin couldn't help but look at him with new eyes. Xing Chang had always been cowardly, selfish, and afraid of death. It was surprising that he cared so much about his mother, even willing to give his life to protect her. Chapter 423. Outside the yin-yang 4 symbols formation, a figure suddenly appeared. It was Song. When returning, unexpected. Young Master Xing is such a filial person. Xing Chang's face was filled with shock. Why haven't you left? Songwen coldly replied, Hand over Shan Yu's communication jade slip. Xing Chang's face instantly turned pale, his eyes full of fear. but he still tried to hold his ground. Impossible. Even if you kill me, I will not hand over my mother's communication jade slip. Songwen's face curled into a cruel smile. Want to die? It's not that easy. A small insect fluttered its wings and flew out of Songwen's mouth. This is a worm I raised. It feeds on living creatures. It is said that the human lungs have regenerative abilities, and I am curious about this. Since young Master Xing is a late-stage foundation-building cultivator, your body must be tough, and I believe your recovery abilities are quite good. I wonder how long it will take for your lungs to regenerate once half of them are eaten. Xing Chang's eyes bulged wide, his body trembling uncontrollably like a leaf swaying in the wind. Hand over Shan Yu's communication jade slip after I obtain focused spirit stab. I will let you both go, Songwen said. Xing Chang, greedy for life, was willing to sacrifice anything to avoid death, even if it meant losing his dignity, freedom, and family. The only thing he would protect was his mother. Songwen's words, like the whispers of a demon, struck at the weakest part of his heart. Xing Chang seemed to see a glimmer of hope in his darkest moment. Are you serious? Will you really spare me and my mother? Songwen replied, I only want the focused spirit stab technique. Killing you would bring me no benefit. Moreover, both you and Shan Yu have soul marks on you. Killing you would only bring endless trouble for me. Xing Chang said, you take out all the communication jade slips from my storage ring. I will tell you which one is my mother's. Songwen did as told and took out the more than 10 communication jade slips from his storage ring, floating them before him. Xing Chang pointed to one of them. This is my mother's. Songwen collected all the jade slips. I hope you're telling the truth this time, otherwise I will make you wish you were dead. After saying this, Songwen entered the formation and knocked out both Xing Chang and Xing Xinxin. Madam Xing, young Master Xing is in a dangerous situation, trapped in a poisonous cave. This matter involves Miss Xing Xinxin. For the safety and reputation of young Master Xing, Madam Xing should not make any noise. If you wish to save young Master Xing, come quickly to the western suburbs of Fang City, early in the morning. After Xing Chang hurriedly left, Shan Yu hadn't seen her son for most of the day. As the day was getting late and her son still hadn't returned, Shan Yu couldn't help but feel a little worried. Just as she was about to contact her son using the communication jade slip, she suddenly received this message. Shan Yu's heart tightened immediately. Was her son in trouble? Who was using her son's communication jade slip to contact her? The cultivation aura transmitted through the jade slip seemed somewhat familiar. She must have seen this person somewhere before. However, she couldn't recall where. Shan Yu was a proud woman, disdainful of Wei Ding. So she never paid attention to the aura of this loose cultivator. Who are you? Shan Yu tried to stay calm and replied, Madam Xing, how could you have forgotten me so quickly? The dissatisfaction and anger in these words were palpable, which made Shan Yu even more concerned. Who exactly are you? I am merely a messenger. Madam Xing does not need to know who I am. Bring 100,000 spirit stones. No. 100 top-grade spirit stones and come alone to the western suburbs. Someone actually tried to take advantage of the Xing family. When had Shan Yu ever endured such humiliation? Blood rushed to her head. Shan Yu's eyes widened in anger, her hands trembling as she gripped the jade slip. She had always been decisive and unyielding, but facing this sudden situation, she was thrown into a state of confusion. She immediately decided to send someone to inform Xing Gao Han, telling him everything. Only with Xing Gao Han could she find some semblance of support. At this moment, the jade slip received another message. The situation involves Xing Chang hiring assassins to kill Xing Xinxin. Once this matter leaks, the Xing family will no longer have a place for Xing Chang. These words instantly woke Shan Yu up. The conflict between Xing Chang and Xing Xinxin had been brewing for a long time. Only yesterday, Xing Xinxin had publicly beaten Xing Chang, causing him to lose face in front of many cultivators in Fang City. Given Xing Chang's vengeful nature, it was not surprising for him to resort to hiring assassins. Shan Yu knew Xing Chang well, and this behavior didn't shock her. If what the person said was true, once the Xing family found out, Xing Chang, as an illegitimate son, would be executed publicly for attempting to harm the legitimate daughter. According to the family rules, Shan Yu didn't have time to think too much without bringing a maid. She mounted her sword and headed west. To avoid being recognized, she disguised herself with a veil. The veil was a high-grade spiritual tool capable of concealing her face and aura. There were many cultivators coming and going in the western suburbs, but Shan Yu hovered in midair, scanning the area but could not find anyone who seemed to be contacting her. She had no choice but to take out the communication jade slip again. I've arrived at the western suburbs. Where are you? You didn't keep your promise and revealed the situation to the Xing family. You've secretly brought their cultivators here. This matter ends here. As for Xing Chang's whereabouts, your family can look for him slowly, but you'd better hurry. He might not last long. Seeing this message, Shan Yu's heart raced with urgency, but she had no way to explain. When had she contacted any cultivators from the Xing family? The other party was speaking nonsense. I didn't notify anyone from the Xing family. I'm standing in mid-air. You should be able to see that I'm alone. How can you be sure there are no cultivators from the Xing family lurking nearby? What will make you believe me? Shan Yu, anxious, felt tears welling up in her eyes. Unless you swear on your soul that you are not lying. Without hesitation, Shan Yu swore on her soul. I am at a small dirt mound 10 paces to your southwest. Come to me. Shan Yu mounted her sword and headed southwest. When she arrived at the small dirt mound, she indeed saw a figure standing on top of it. Wei Ding, it's you. When Shan Yu saw Song Wan, there was a noticeable hint of anger on her face. Wei Ding, immediately tell me the full story from the beginning. Without waiting for Song Wan to speak, Shan Yu ordered him in a commanding tone. Song Wan explained, Young Master Xing, in order to take revenge on Xing Xin, secretly hired a poison cultivator to assassinate her. However, the poison cultivator was too greedy. Instead of killing her, he captured her and brought her back to his poisonous cave. The poison cultivator, using the threat of exposing young Master Xing's betrayal of his clan, forced him to give more spirit stones. Unable to provide them, young Master Xing had no choice but to bring me along to the poisonous cave to negotiate with the cultivator. Negotiations broke down, and a fierce battle broke out between them. The poison cultivator was strong, but young Master Xing had a magical shield to protect himself, so he was able to defend. During their battle, I managed to cure Xing Xin of her poison. She activated a soul-severing talisman, killing the poison cultivator. As the poison cultivator was dying, he activated a formation, trapping both young Master Xing and Xing Xin inside. Song Wan had already prepared this fabricated story. Chapter 424. Song Wan deliberately mentioned the soul-severing talisman and magical shield to gain Shan Yu's trust. The soul-severing talisman and magical shield were Xing Xin and Xing Chang's life-saving trump cards, and they would never easily reveal them to outsiders. By mentioning these two treasures, Song Wan was proving that he had witnessed them with his own eyes. Then why did my son's communication jade slip end up in your hands? After careful consideration, Shan Yu pointed out the flaw in Song Wan's story. Song Wan narrowed his eyes. Although Shan Yu was usually proud, she wasn't completely lacking in intelligence. Xing Chong threw it to me in the final moments when he was trapped in the formation. Shan Yu lightly pursed her red lips, her delicate brows slightly furrowed, and her expression became more solemn. According to Wei Ding's words, she could not reveal this situation to the Xing family. Moreover, there was another matter that greatly troubled Shan Yu. Xing Xin wasn't dead. If she was still alive and reached the Xing family, this situation would undoubtedly be exposed. At that time, Xing Chong would also not be able to avoid the family rules. This little bitch must die. Shan Yu's eyes were filled with cruelty. Take me to where my son is trapped, Shan Yu commanded, her voice leaving no room for refusal. She seemed completely unconcerned that Song Wan might act against her. Song Wan revealed his cultivation level, which was 2 small realms higher than hers. But Shan Yu had her own life-saving trump cards, much stronger than those of Xing Chong and Xing Xin. A cultivator at the late foundation establishment stage would not pose a threat to her safety. Song Wan squinted. Madam Xing, did you forget something? Shan Yu's expression darkened. What do you mean by that? We agreed on 100 top-grade spirit stones. Shan Yu's anger flared. Before I've even seen my son, you dare to demand spirit stones? Song Wan smiled coldly, a smug expression on his face. That's not my fault. I've saved Xing Chang's life twice, and yet you mother and son only gave me 10,000 inferior spirit stones as compensation. If I don't fight for what I'm owed, you'll probably try to get rid of me with a few trifling things. Song Wan portrayed his greed perfectly. Shan Yu clenched her teeth, fury burning in her phoenix-like eyes. Fine spirit stones, take them. But if you dare deceive me, the chaotic sea will have no place for you. 100 top-grade spirit stones would be an astronomical sum for an average foundation establishment cultivator. But for Shan Yu, it was nothing. She was usually stingy. But when it came to Xing Chang's life, she didn't hesitate to hand over the spirit stones to Song Wen. Song Wen's eyes gleamed with undisguised greed and excitement as he counted the spirit stones multiple times before storing them in his storage ring. He acted this way to make Shan Yu think that his motive in providing the information was driven by greed, thus lowering her guard. Now can you take me to see my son? Shan Yu urged. Song Wen raised his hand and gestured toward the east. Madam Xing, please. That night, at the Cho hour, Song Wen and Shan Yu arrived at the Rift Valley. Madam Xing, young Master Xing is trapped in this cave. There are many poisonous insects inside, so be careful. Song Wen's words now were almost identical to what he had said to Xing Chang several hours earlier. The cave was deep and dark, like the gaping mouth of a monster. Shan Yu, who had never faced any real danger in her life, felt her heart begin to race, and a sense of unease and tension rose within her. She subconsciously took 2 steps back. Wei Ding, you go ahead. Song Wen had no objection. Stepping into the cave, Shan Yu watched his back slowly disappearing into the darkness of the cave. She steadied her nerves, and a magical shield appeared around her, stronger than Xing Chang's. It was left behind by a nascent soul cultivator who had expended their cultivation soon. The two of them reached the depths of the cave. When Shan Yu saw that both Xing Chang and Xing Xinxin were trapped in a formation, having already fainted, she became incredibly anxious. Chang'er! Shan Yu exclaimed in shock and quickly flew toward the formation. Bang! Shan Yu collided with the formation's barrier, and the massive recoil sent her flying backward. However, her magical shield protected her, so she wasn't injured. TSK. Madam Xing, you should be more careful. This formation is a 3rd-tier formation. Your magical shield can protect you, but young Master Xing inside doesn't have one. If you recklessly crash into the formation and activate it, young Master Xing might be in danger. Hearing this, Shan Yu gradually calmed down. Young Master Xing, who was inside the formation, wasn't in immediate danger. She needed to think of a plan to break the formation. Suddenly, she realized that Wei Ding's tone earlier seemed to carry ill intentions. Shan Yu turned to Song Wen and sternly asked, Wei Ding, was this all you're doing? Song Wen's face still wore a gentle smile. I had something I wanted to ask Madam Xing for help with. I had no choice but to resort to these means. Shan Yu's phoenix-like eyes flashed with anger. You have a lot of courage, daring to target the children of the Xing family's ancestors. Song Wen's smile didn't fade. Madam, you should think carefully about the safety of young Master Xing and yourself. You! Shan Yu's anger intensified, her ample chest rising and falling quickly. Wei Ding, although I don't know what methods you used to injure my son and Xing Xinxin, it's a foolish dream to think you can keep me here. Once I return to the Xing family, it will be the end for you. Looks like Madam Xing doesn't want to save young Master Xing, huh? Song Wen's smile slowly turned sinister. Shan Yu's voice grew sharp. Do you really dare to kill them? Both Xing Chang and Xing Xinxin had soul marks on them. If they were killed, the marks would transfer to Song Wen, which was the reason Shan Yu felt confident. Song Wen grinned with an eerie smile. Madam Xing, you can try it. As he spoke, Song Wen produced a formation disc. He cast 2 hand seals, and the For Symbols formation immediately activated, causing a gust of violent wind to roar through the area. Xing Chang and Xing Xinxin, still unconscious, were helpless against the storm of wind, their skin and flesh torn apart. Stop! Shan Yu shouted in desperation. However, Song Wen remained unfazed. The fierce wind within the formation continued to tear at them. Stop! Stop, please! Shan Yu watched as Xing Chang's body was shredded, tears falling from her beautiful eyes and wetting her face. Please, I beg you, stop. Shan Yu's voice grew more frantic and desperate. Oh? Madam Xing is begging me, then I will give you some face. Before his words had even finished, the wind inside the formation abruptly ceased. Shan Yu looked at Xing Chang, whose body was covered in wounds, her eyes filled with tears. Wei Ding, you have a heart of stone. Songwen replied, Madam Xing, your attitude doesn't seem like that of someone begging. Shan Yu retorted, what do you want? Do you want me to kneel and beg you? Remove your magical shield, Songwen said coldly, that's impossible. Shan Yu immediately refused. Songwen raised the formation disc in his hand. Madam, you wouldn't want your beloved son to die young, would you? Chapter 425. Shan Yu clenched her silver teeth, biting down on her lower lip, and gazed at Xing Chang inside the formation, tears flickering in her eyes. Suddenly, her magical shield dissipated. It felt as if all the strength had been drained from her body. The pride and anger she had earlier vanished in an instant. Her eyes were filled with tears, and she looked at Songwen with a pitiful, sorrowful gaze. Wei Ding, are you satisfied now? You've gone to great lengths to plan all of this, so what exactly do you want in the end? A sharp glint flashed in Songwen's eyes. Shan Yu had been mentally broken down step by step, and the next part would be much easier. Madam Xing, don't worry, I won't harm you. I only want the Xing family's secret focused spirit stab. Once I obtain this technique, I promise I won't make things difficult for you or your son. Shan Yu replied, I don't have the focused spirit stab technique, nor have I ever cultivated it. Songwen responded, I know you don't have it, but I believe Madam Xing must have a way to obtain the focused spirit stab. Shan Yu retorted, that's impossible. You're underestimating the Xing family. Focused spirit stab has 3 levels, each stored on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors of the Xing family's transmission building. I only have foundation establishment cultivation, so I can only enter the 3rd floor to retrieve the 1st level of the technique. Furthermore, in order to prevent the focused spirit stab from leaking, the Xing family forbids taking the jade slips containing the technique out of the transmission building. It can only be studied within the building. Songwen replied, these are the things you need to consider. Shan Yu shook her head, her crystalline tears falling like raindrops. I truly can't do anything about this. Songwen's expression remained unchanged as he waved the formation disc in his hand. Shan Yu's expression turned frantic. Please, don't activate the formation again, or Chang'er will really die. Change the conditions, please. I can get you spirit stones, magical treasures, rare spiritual herbs, and materials. I can bring them all to you. Seeing that Songwen seemed to ignore her plea and was about to activate the formation again, she suddenly dropped to her knees. Please, I beg you, spare Chang'er. As long as it's not the focused spirit stab, I'll agree to any conditions, even if it means. Shan Yu looked resolute, her hand reaching toward her waist. Songwen looked down from above, the snow-capped peaks reflected in the clear pond. What a tempting view. However, Songwen soon realized that something was off about Shan Yu's condition. Her cheeks flushed, her eyes half-lidded, and her expression seemed dreamy. Songwen turned his head and looked toward a corner of the cave. There, he saw a dried-up spiritual herb. Illusory love flower. Shan Yu had been poisoned by the illusory love flower. When the old poison master attacked Xing Xinshin, he had casually thrown the illusory love flower, which crashed into the cave wall and broke. The flower's fragrance had spread, and it fell to the ground. Songwen had been too focused on his plans to deceive Xing Chang and Shan Yu. Completely forgetting about the illusory love flower, he had neglected to retrieve it. After nearly a day of gradual release, the scent of the flower had filled the entire cave. Once Shan Yu removed her magical shield, she had unknowingly been affected by the poison. Songwen turned back to look at Shan Yu, whose clothing was gradually becoming more revealing, and muttered to himself, what a tempting sight. If I'm indifferent now, it would seem I lack appreciation for such beauty. Songwen felt dry in his throat and his body burning with heat. It seems I've also fallen victim to the illusionary poison. Several thick pieces of clothing flew out from Songwen's storage ring, which he used to create a bed. Outside, daylight broke, but the cave remained dark. Songwen pushed Shan Yu off of him, stood up and dressed himself. He looked down at Shan Yu, so tender. Songwen could now truly understand Ai Kuen's perspective. Gentle towns are the tombs of heroes. Shan Yu, having suffered through the night, showed no signs of waking up. Songwen released a thread of spiritual power, and Shan Yu's delicate body shivered, gradually regaining consciousness. After a brief moment of confusion, Shan Yu's thoughts cleared, and the events of the previous night slowly resurfaced in her mind. Anger, grievance, shame, humiliation, all of it surged up in her heart, whether as a prominent lady in the mundane world or later becoming the concubine of the old Ancestor of the Xing family, the thoughts she had always adhered to were the traditional values of obedience, lifelong loyalty, and maintaining purity. Without a doubt, this night had shattered everything at this moment. Shan Yu's convictions and beliefs in life crumbled, and her heart broke. She stared blankly ahead, her eyes vacant as if she had lost her focus, her gaze filled with deep despair and confusion. She pulled a discarded piece of clothing to cover her exposed body. Curled up into a ball, trembling uncontrollably as silent tears slowly ran down her cheeks. After a moment, it seemed as though something had occurred to her. Suddenly, she sat upright, cross-legged, and began to circulate her spiritual power, trying to expel what Songwon had left inside her body. Then she slowly dressed herself, each movement feeling incredibly heavy, as if Songwon had destroyed everything she had. Shan Yu glared at Songwon with resentment. "Are you satisfied now? Will you let Chang'er go?" Her voice was filled with endless sorrow. Songwon raised an eyebrow, mocking her. "Everything that happened last night was initiated by you. I never said I would release Xingqiang because of it." Shan Yu, unsure whether it was lingering emotions or anger, had her face flush bright red. "You." Songwon coldly replied, "Madam Xing, I'm giving you 1 day. If I don't see the focused spirit stab by this time tomorrow, you'll only have your son's corpse to collect." Shan Yu gritted her teeth and glared at Songwon, the flames of fury in her eyes as if she wanted to burn him to ashes. "Madam Xing, you'd better hurry," Songwon said as he activated the 4-symbol formation, and a goo flew out, landing on Xing Chang's body and burrowing into him. Songwon continued, "Don't think you can bring the Xing family here and have us fight to the death. I won't personally guard Xing Chang. I'll leave a goo behind. If any strangers enter the cave, the goo will kill your son immediately." Shan Yu shot him a furious glance, then summoned her sword and flew out of the cave. Humiliation, anger, hatred, these emotions filled Shan Yu's heart. But then, as she thought of using the focused spirit stab to trade for Xing Chang's life, a sense of confusion began to overtake her again. She had no idea where to begin. She looked back at Xing Chang inside the formation. The thought of abandoning her son for her own survival suddenly surfaced in her mind. This thought was so terrifying that it sprouted and spread in her heart like wild grass in fertile soil, growing uncontrollably. Her affair with Songwon had been a secret that no one else knew. If she didn't mention it, it would remain a secret forever. Shan Yu's gaze gradually became firm and ruthless. Only through enduring storms does one truly grow. This experience had shown her that the Xing family was not as omnipotent as she had imagined, and they could not always protect her in the chaotic sea. There were countless forces and cultivators who eyed the Xing family with greed. The Xing family possessed abundant cultivation resources and powerful techniques, which made them a force to be reckoned with and attracted many envious and covetous gazes. To truly establish herself in the world of cultivation, she would ultimately have to rely on her own strength. Chapter 426. Madam Xing, I almost forgot to tell you something. Last night's affair, I recorded it on a shadow stone. If you don't return within a day, the shadow stone will be copied into 1,000 pieces and spread throughout Fang City. Songwon's words were like a curse from the depths of the 9 hells, startling Shan Yu so much that she nearly fell off her flying sword. They struck her heart like a sharp blade, shattering the silence in her mind's poisonous cavern and momentarily halting her heartbeat. "You, despicable!" Shan Yu gritted her teeth and cursed loudly. Her slightly swollen, tear-streaked eyes glared at Songwon with such hatred that she wished to tear him to pieces. "Thank you for the compliment, madam. I'll await your good news here," Songwon said with a mocking smile. Shan Yu suddenly accelerated, rushing out of the cave and flying into the sky. After confirming that Shan Yu had left, Songwon went to the spirit field where Poison Old Ghost cultivated his poisons and uprooted all the medicinal herbs. Then, Songwon also left the poisonous cavern, leaving only 2 sacred goo behind to monitor the cave's movements. Songwon trailed Shan Yu from a distance, following her to the outskirts of Fang City. He chose a busy spot where he could quietly observe the happenings in the city. He wasn't entirely confident that Shan Yu would be able to obtain the focused spirit stab through Xing Chang's network. Shan Yu was the highest-ranking person in the Xing family that Songwon could reach. If even Shan Yu couldn't obtain the focused spirit stab, then Xing Chang's value would be negligible. Shan Yu passed through the northern gate of Fang City and headed straight for the palace where she resided. Xing Gaohan, being the most powerful cultivator in the Xing family, lived at the very heart of the family's estate. His residence resembled a mundane royal palace, while Xing Gaohan lived in the main hall. His wives and concubines resided in the many side halls, as Xing Gaohan's most favored concubine. Shan Yu's quarters were very close to the main hall. After about a quarter of an hour, Shan Yu stepped out of her palace now. She had changed into a fresh outfit, adorned herself with delicate makeup, and restored her usual lofty demeanor. She summoned a flying vessel and slowly made her way to the transmission hall. The Xing family's transmission hall was vast, spanning a full mile and comprising 5 levels. The first floor housed books on various aspects of cultivation, from common knowledge and spiritual herbs to demonic beasts and tales from the chaotic sea. The second to 5th floors contained cultivation techniques and secret arts corresponding to the stages of qi refinement, foundation establishment, golden core, and nascent soul. Shan Yu went directly to the deepest part of the 3rd floor. Here stood a stone platform, and resting silently upon it was a jade slip, green in color. A translucent barrier of light enveloped the jade slip, a miniature formation designed specifically to protect it. This jade slip contained the first level of the focus spirit stab technique. "Someone, come here." Shan Yu called out sharply. A figure flashed, and a male foundation establishment cultivator appeared at Shan Yu's side. "Xing Shi, a descendant of the Xing family, greets Madam. May I ask what Madam needs from this junior?" he asked respectfully. "Make me a copy of the focus spirit stab," Shan Yu ordered without room for negotiation. Xing Shi's face filled with discomfort. "Madam, according to family rules, to obtain the first level of the focused spirit stab, one must complete a trial and refine an earth spirit pill." Shan Yu's brows furrowed in anger, and her sharp glare bore down on him. "Are you saying I should risk my life and head to the outer seas to slay tidal demons?" Xing Shi stiffened and quickly replied, "This junior wouldn't dare. It's just that these are the rules of the family, and I dare not overstep them." Shan Yu shot him a cold glance, her gaze full of impatience. "Just copy the technique. I'll take full responsibility for any consequences." Xing Shi was momentarily at a loss for what to do. The family rules were strict, and he dared not violate them. But Shan Yu's status was too high for him to offend. "Why haven't you copied the technique yet? If worse comes to worst, I'll speak to my husband later and have him issue a decree to grant this exception." Shan Yu snapped sternly. 4 other members of the Xing family. Cultivating the first layer of the focus spirit stab required completing the family-mandated trial. However, for Shan Yu, all it took was a few sweet words whispered to Xing Gaohan to get whatever she desired. Rules were, after all, meant to restrain the weak. Xing Shi hesitated for a long time but ultimately gritted his teeth and decided to copy the technique for Shan Yu. "Madam, I hope you can quickly secure a decree from the family head. Otherwise, I cannot bear the responsibility for this." "Understood. I'll take full responsibility for any consequences," Shan Yu replied impatiently. After obtaining the jade slip for the first layer of the concentration piercing, she proceeded toward the 4th floor of the transmission hall. "Madam, the copied jade slip cannot leave the transmission hall. It can only be studied within its premises," Xing Shi reminded her. "Do you think I need a junior like you to tell me what to do?" Shan Yu retorted arrogantly, not even bothering to look back. Between the 3rd and 4th floors was a formation that blocked the passage. Shan Yu was stopped by a shimmering light barrier radiating an array of colors. To pass through this barrier, one needed to possess the cultivation level of a golden core realm. "Who is in charge of the 4th floor? Come out and see me immediately," Shan Yu shouted. A mid-golden core stage male cultivator appeared at the entrance to the 4th floor. "Madam, please return. The 4th floor is not a place where you can cause trouble," the male cultivator said flatly, barring Shan Yu's way. He clearly knew what had happened on the 3rd floor, but since it didn't concern him, he hadn't intervened. Shan Yu glanced at the man, her eyes flashing with a hint of mockery. She recognized him. His name was Xing Xian, a close associate of Xing Li, Ren, and a follower of Xing Gaohan's first wife, Jing Feiyao. In the past, Shan Yu had relied on Xing Gaohan's favor and looked down on the need to win people over or build her own power base. After last night's events, however, she realized the importance of having a force completely loyal to her. Some matters couldn't be disclosed to Xing Gaohan, nor could she rely on him to resolve them. Xing Xian, don't be so quick to close the door on me, Shan Yu said. As she spoke, she took out a jade token, the merit token. Xing Xian's brows furrowed deeply, and his tone carried a trace of surprise. He seemed incredulous that Shan Yu possessed such a token. The merit token was only awarded to those who had rendered significant contributions to the Xing family. With it, the bearer could choose any cultivation technique, claim rare spiritual materials, or exchange it directly for 500 top-grade spirit stones. Shan Yu, who had always lived a life of luxury and leisure, was an unlikely candidate to possess such a token. Indeed, this is the merit token. With it, I believe I'm entitled to enter the 4th floor, Shan Yu said with a smug smile. This merit token had been bestowed upon her by Xing Gaohan on the night she rose to prominence. As a gesture of his favor, she had kept it and used for years. Reluctant to part with it now, forced into a corner by Song Wan, she had no choice but to bring it out. The merit token can only be used once, madame. Are you certain about this? Xing Xian asked. Open the formation, Shan Yu ordered in a low voice. Xing Xian performed a series of hand seals and the light barrier opened, allowing Shan Yu to ascend to the 4th floor. Chapter 427. Copy the 2nd layer of the focused spirit stab technique for me, Shan Yu demanded. Please wait a moment, madam. Xing Xian turned and went deeper into the 4th floor. Shortly after, he returned with a jade slip and handed it to Shan Yu. Shan Yu took the jade slip and gave the merit token to Xing Xian. Since the token had been used, it had to be recorded and submitted to the family. As Shan Yu was about to head downstairs, Xing Xian spoke up. Madam, the focused spirit stab technique is a family secret and cannot be taken out of the transmission hall. Shan Yu glared coldly at him. You dare block my way? I'm simply following family rules, Xing Xian replied. Unless you destroy the jade slips for both the 1st and 2nd layers of the focused spirit stab technique in front of me, you won't leave this 4th floor. Without Xing Xian deactivating the formation between the 3rd and 4th floors, Shan Yu's cultivation level was insufficient to leave the 4th floor on her own. Shan Yu's voice turned icy. Very well, so this is what it means to follow the rules. Without further argument, she turned and moved to a quiet corner of the 4th floor. There, she focused on memorizing the 1st and 2nd layers of the focused spirit stab technique. Song Wan had given her only 1 day, and the journey from Fang City to Rift Valley would take nearly half that time. With time pressing, she had to make every second count. After spending over half an hour, Shan Yu finally memorized all the contents of the 2 jade slips without missing a word. She then crushed the jade slips before leaving the 4th floor. Once out of the transmission hall, Shan Yu didn't return to her residence. Instead, she headed straight toward Rift Valley. Song Wan wanted the complete focused spirit stab technique, but the 3rd layer was stored on the 5th floor of the transmission hall area, entirely out of Shan Yu's reach. Even with another merit token, she couldn't access the 5th floor. Techniques and secrets at the nascent soul level were the Xing family's most guarded legacies, accessible only to their nascent soul cultivators. With no other choice, Shan Yu had to brace herself and prepare to negotiate with Song Wan outside Fang City. Song Wan waited for over an hour before spotting Shan Yu flying past on a small airship at full speed. He released a sacred goo to trail her from a distance. Meanwhile, he stayed on the ground for another half hour to ensure no one was following Shan Yu. Only then did he take to the sky and pursue her. When speed far surpassed Shan Yu's, he soon overtook her and arrived at Rift Valley ahead of her. He stopped on a mountain about 100 kilometers away from the valley. Over 2 hours later, Shan Yu finally arrived and entered Rift Valley directly. Song Wan didn't rush into the cave. He waited patiently for another hour and confirmed through the sacred goo that Shan Yu had been traveling nonstop and hadn't interacted with anyone along the way. Finally reassured, he entered the cave. When he arrived, Shan Yu was already visibly impatient. So you've finally shown up, Shan Yu said. My apologies, Madam Xing, I was delayed by some matters, Song Wan replied. My son's injuries are so severe that every moment of delay endangers his life further. Shan Yu said with an annoyed expression. It seems Madam Xing is quite anxious. Does this mean you've obtained the focused spirit stab technique? Song Wen asked. Shan Yu hesitated. I couldn't get the complete technique. I only managed to acquire the first and second layers. Song Wen frowned and was about to question her further when Shan Yu quickly added, I can compensate you. Oh? How will you compensate me? Shan Yu's expression suddenly became bashful, her cheeks flushed, just like last night. Of course, she murmured. Her robes began to slip off her shoulders, revealing her alluring figure in its entirety. Song Wen couldn't help but recall Shan Yu's passion and enthusiasm from the night before. His mouth went dry, and he swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. Could it be that the hallucinogenic poison hasn't worn off yet? Today, Shan Yu was far more forward than she had been the previous night. She leaned closer, teasingly seductive. Afterward, Song Wen took the 2 jade slips Shan Yu handed him and examined them carefully. Once he confirmed there were no issues with the techniques recorded on them, he stored them away. Now will you release my son? Shan Yu demanded. The 2 jade slips were copies she had engraved on blank slips during her journey. Based entirely on her memory, Song Wen raised a hand toward the yin-yang 4 symbols formation. And the formation's flags flew into his grasp one by one. Shan Yu eagerly moved forward, desperate to save Xingzhang. But Song Wen stopped her. Madam Xing, what do you plan to do with Xing Xinxin? Shan Yu was puzzled. You're not going to kill her? I've already obtained the focused spirit stab technique. Why would I kill her? Her death serves me no purpose, Song Wen said matter-of-factly. If she lives, she'll report everything you've done to the Xing family. Aren't you afraid of their retaliation? Shan Yu pressed. Song Wen chuckled dismissively. The Xing family has to find me first. Shan Yu's expression turned icy. What exactly are you planning? Speak plainly. While Song Wen didn't fear Xing Xinxin alive, Shan Yu couldn't let her live. If Xing Xinxin made it back, she would undoubtedly report everything to the Xing family, dragging both Xingzhang and Shan Yu into the fray. If Madam Xing wants Xing Xinxin dead, you'll have to do it yourself, Song Wen said. Shan Yu immediately understood. Song Wen wanted her to prove her loyalty. If she killed Xing Xinxin, Shan Yu would be complicit in everything that happened in this cave and would no longer dare reveal a word of it. Although Shan Yu despised Xing Xinxin, she had never killed anyone before. The thought of personally taking someone's life filled her with a nameless fear. Madam Xing, do it quickly. If she doesn't die, you and your son will never find peace, Song Wen urged, his voice like the devil's whisper, tempting Shan Yu to jump into an abyss. Shan Yu alive was far more valuable than dead. She might even prove useful in the future. For this reason, Song Wen forced her to kill Xing Xinxin, securing even more leverage over her. Shan Yu felt her thoughts turn into a tangled mess, her mind a haze, as though bewitched by Song Wen's voice. She stared intently at the unconscious Xing Xinxin and slowly approached her. Unknowingly, a short blade had appeared in her hand. She stood by Xing Xinxin's side for a long time, unable to bring herself to act. Kill her! Song Wen's sudden shout made Shan Yu's delicate body tremble. Her eyes widened, her face contorted, and she let out a piercing scream. Ah! The scream seemed to give her immense courage. Thud, thud, thud. The sharp blade plunged repeatedly, blood splattered everywhere, staining Shan Yu from head to toe. She didn't know how many times she stabbed. She only stopped when her arm grew sore and Xing Xinxin's body was a mangled mess of flesh and blood. Chapter 428. Shan Yu knelt beside Xing Xinxin's corpse, her gaze dull and lifeless. Her chest heaved violently, and her breaths came in ragged gasps, like the wheezing of a worn-out bellows. Ugh! A sudden wave of intense nausea and discomfort surged through her. Shan Yu vomited a torrent of foul substances. Even after emptying the contents of her stomach, the queasiness in her heart refused to subside. Abruptly, she sensed a surge of soul energy emanating from Xing Xinxin's corpse. The energy invaded her body and rooted itself in her sea of consciousness. This soul energy clung to her like an incurable infection, impossible to dispel. It was a soul imprint left by a Xing family expert. To protect their talented junior, Shan Yu's expression changed drastically earlier, overwhelmed by the terror of taking a life for the first time. She had completely forgotten about the existence of the soul imprint. Her eyes burned with hatred as she glared fiercely at Song Wen. She assumed this was all part of Song Wen's deliberate scheme to frame her. Seeing her reaction, Song Wen smiled calmly. "Madam, there's no need to panic. It's merely a soul imprint, nothing more." He stepped forward and placed a hand on her head. "Relax your mind and open your sea of consciousness. I'll help you remove the imprint." At a loss for what to do, Shan Yu could only obey his instructions. She felt a vast soul force invade her sea of consciousness. It moved through it in a sweeping motion, forcibly removing the soul imprint. Relief washed over Shan Yu, but at the same time, she was secretly astounded by Song Wen's methods. Song Wen then cast a soul-binding technique on Xing Xinxin's corpse, sealing her soul within. "Madam Xing, I'll take my leave now. We'll meet again someday." With that, he used his power to drag Xing Xinxin's corpse out of the cave. Shan Yu closed her eyes and took several deep breaths, trying to calm the turmoil within her. When she reopened her eyes, the confusion and helplessness from before were gone. Replaced by determination and resolve, Shan Yu approached Xing Chang and placed a healing pill into his mouth. Then she channeled her spiritual energy into him to help refine the pill's effects. Moments later, Xing Chang slowly regained consciousness. His eyes fluttered open, revealing Shan Yu's worried face. "Mother, why are you here?" Xing Chang's voice was weak, then his expression suddenly tensed. "Where's Wei Ding?" "He was trying to kill me." Shan Yu gently stroked his hair and said softly, "Wei Ding is gone. You don't need to worry anymore. How are you feeling now?" Hearing this, Xing Chang's eyes brightened. "Wei Ding is gone? That's great." He exhaled in relief, and the tension on his face melted away. However, as his awareness gradually returned, Xing Chang became acutely aware of the searing pain throughout his body. He tried to move but discovered he was covered in wounds. Even the slightest movement tugged at his injuries, causing excruciating pain. "Ah, mother, it hurts so much." Seeing this, Shan Yu's heart ached. She comforted him in a gentle voice. "They're just external injuries. With 2 healing pills, you'll recover completely." Xing Chang nervously stared at his horrifying wounds. Having never been so gravely injured before, the pain and fear overwhelmed his rationality. "Mother, I'm hurt so badly. Will I die here?" His voice trembled as he spoke. Fear and anxiety were written all over Xing Chang's face, and tears welled up in his eyes. Seeing her son's weakness, Shan Yu's hand, which had been stroking his hair, abruptly stopped at that moment. She couldn't help but question whether her past teachings to Xing Chang had been correct. After regaining consciousness, Xing Chang hadn't asked her a single question about how she had saved him from Wei Ding or what price she had paid for it. Instead, all he cared about were his non-lethal external injuries. Shan Yu realized the fragility and incompetence of Xing Chang's character. Compared to the cunning and ruthless Wei Ding, Xing Chang was nothing more than a spoiled child. Disappointment and helplessness filled Shan Yu's gaze as she looked at her son. After distancing himself several thousand miles from the rift, Song Wen found a secluded spot. Before devouring Xing Xinxin's soul, he decided to attempt another soul search. This was the first time Song Wen had ever conducted a soul search on the same person twice. The second soul search yielded very little information, but one critical detail stood out: the Corpse King's blood refinement art that Xing Xinxin had practiced. Along with the incomplete Corpse Curse Water Manual, originated from Wuji Island's sinister elder, Yin Shua, it seemed Yin Shua had deliberately lured her into cultivating the incomplete Corpse King's blood refinement art, hiding some unspeakable secret behind it. After completing the soul search, Song Wen began devouring her essence blood. Unexpectedly, the process didn't go as anticipated. A surge of pure spiritual energy flowed into his body along with the essence blood. This spiritual energy, being fundamentally compatible with his own power, was seamlessly refined and absorbed into his dantian. Song Wen could clearly feel a noticeable improvement in his cultivation level without relying on any elixirs. The growth in his power equaled several years of arduous cultivation. After a moment of surprise, Song Wen recalled that he had experienced a similar situation once before. Years ago, when he killed Shi Shou and devoured his essence blood, he had also absorbed some of Shi Shou's spiritual energy. Could this be related to the Corpse King's blood refinement art? Song Wen speculated. Both Shi Shou and Xing Xinxin shared the commonality of practicing the Corpse King's blood refinement art and had reached the foundation establishment stage in their cultivation. Does this mean that if I devour the essence blood of others who practice the Corpse King's blood refinement art, I can rapidly improve my cultivation? A spark of excitement flashed across Song Wen's face. In the Lawless Sea region, the place with the highest concentration of cultivators practicing the Corpse King's blood refinement art was undoubtedly Wuji Island. It seems I need to make a trip to Wuji Island. After incinerating Xing Xinshin's corpse into ashes and scattering them to the wind, Song Wen retrieved her storage ring. The storage ring contained numerous treasures of immense value. Among them were 50 high-grade spirit stones, 3 pieces of Xian Yin stone, and 100 sand crystals. These were items she had originally planned to use in a second trade with Songwon, intending to exchange them for the golden core level techniques of the Corpse King's blood refinement art, the most valuable item in. The storage ring, however, was a veil-like magical artifact. This mid-tier magical treasure lacked any offensive or defensive capabilities. Its sole function was to conceal one's aura. Xing Xinshin had relied on this treasure to mask her corpse energy. Even from Xing Gaohan, its effectiveness was self-evident. However, to Songwon, this item was of little practical use. After storing Xing Xinshin's ring, Songwon turned to Xing Chang's storage ring. Aside from some spirit stones, its contents were of little value to him. He then retrieved 2 jade slips he had obtained from Shan Yu and began studying the techniques inscribed within them. After several hours of meticulous study, Songwon put the jade slips away. He had gained a preliminary understanding of the first and second layers of the focused spirit stab technique. The focused spirit stab involved condensing a cultivator's spiritual sense into a sharp, invisible blade, which could then be used to attack an opponent's sea of consciousness. If the spiritual blade struck its target, it would not only damage the sea of consciousness but could also directly assault and injure the opponent's soul, leaving their spirit gravely wounded. Chapter 429. Cultivating the first 2 layers of the focused spirit stab technique is no easy task. To advance, one must consume 2 specific pills, the Earth Spirit Pill and the Heaven Spirit Pill. These pills are critical for this cultivation technique. Only with the aid of these pills can the spiritual blade of one's consciousness take shape. The primary ingredients for the Earth Spirit Pill are the soul and blood essence of a tide beast. Fortunately, Songwon already possessed these materials, and the other supplementary ingredients were not difficult to find. The Earth Spirit Pill's refinement process was relatively straightforward, and Songwon was confident of a 70% chance of success on his first attempt. In comparison, the requirements for refining the Heaven Spirit Pill were exceptionally demanding. First, the main ingredient was the sole source of 9 Qi refinement stage cultivators. Second, the refinement had to be conducted using live humans as ingredients. Before being placed into the alchemy furnace, the human materials needed to be physically intact, with their souls fully intact. Finally, 9 third-rank alchemists were required to work together for 18 consecutive days to successfully refine the pill. Each of these 3 conditions was exceedingly difficult to meet, especially the second condition. It necessitated immediate refinement after capturing the human ingredients. Even prolonged captivity risked depleting their vitality or damaging their souls, which could result in failure. Given these challenges, it was virtually impossible for someone like Songwon to successfully refine the Heaven Spirit Pill. Only a major power like the Xing family could meet such conditions to produce this pill. Songwon suddenly recalled that Gan Hong had once mentioned Xing Lirun was planning to refine a special pill requiring the collaboration of 9 third-rank alchemists. Could it be that Xing Liren is refining the Heaven Spirit Pill? An idea began to take shape in Song Wen's mind. Infiltrating the group of 9 alchemists to assist Xing Liren in refining the Heaven Spirit Pill and then seizing the pill for himself, but he quickly dismissed the thought. According to Xing Xinshin's memories, the Xing family's alchemy chamber was located deep within their stronghold. As a golden core stage cultivator at the initial level, Songwon had no chance of obtaining the Heaven Spirit Pill in such a heavily fortified place. Attempting to do so would only lead to his death. Moreover, the Heaven Spirit Pill involved highly sensitive matters. If word of its existence were to spread, it would severely tarnish the Xing family's righteous reputation as an unaffiliated alchemist. Songwon risked being implicated in the scandal. The Xing family might imprison him for life, turning him into their alchemy slave, forcing him to refine pills for them indefinitely with no hope of leaving their domain. Unable to come up with a feasible planned to obtain the Heaven Spirit Pill. Songwon decided to set the matter aside for now. He resolved to first refine the Earth Spirit Pill and complete the first layer of the technique before considering his next steps. Songwon altered his appearance. Disguising himself as a mid-stage Foundation establishment rogue cultivator, he returned to Fong City and rented a new cave dwelling. The identity of Wei Ding was no longer useful to him if Shan Yu bore a grudge and sought revenge. Tracking down Wei Ding would likely lead her straight to his previous residence, North Fong City. Inside a grand palace, in the hall, a dignified and elegant woman sat on a low couch. Her brows were furrowed, her face filled with deep sorrow and anger. A man flew into the hall, landing gracefully. The newcomer was Xing Li Ren. "Mother, you summoned me urgently. May I know why?" The woman, Xing Li Ren's mother, was Jing Feiyao. She hailed from the Jing family, a powerful faction in the Chaotic Sea region. Her marriage to Xing Gaohan was a political alliance between two influential families. Jing Feiyao did not enjoy Xing Gaohan's favor. But due to the influence of the Jing family behind her, Xing Gaohan had no choice but to treat her with the respect she deserved. Jing Feiyao's expression was mournful, her voice trembling as she spoke. "News just arrived from the Ancestral Hall. Your sister's soul lamp has gone out." Xing Li Ren froze, his face full of disbelief. "That's impossible. How could Xin be dead?" Jing Feiyao replied, "The Ancestral Hall is responsible for safeguarding the family members' soul lamps. They don't make mistakes. I also tried contacting Xin multiple times through communication jade, but there has been no response." Xing Li Ren clenched his fists tightly, veins bulging. Who killed her?" Jing Feiyao said, "The Ancestral Hall hasn't identified the culprit yet. Xin was last seen 2 days ago. Afterward, she left Dark Star Black Market on her own and disappeared without a trace." Xing Li Ren shouted angrily, "The Ancestral Hall is useless. If we rely on them, we'll never find out who killed her." Jing Feiyao continued, "Grandma Jean did provide some clues. The night before Xin went missing, she had dealings with a Golden Core stage cultivator. The deal fell through. Grandma Jean suspects that Xin's death is related to this cultivator." Xing Li Ren asked in a deep voice, "Do we have any information about this Golden Core cultivator?" Jing Feiyao replied, "Grandma Jean only knows that the person is a Golden Core stage cultivator at the initial level and skilled in lightning techniques. The subject of their transaction was the demonic cultivation technique Corpse King blood refinement art." Xing Li Ren said, "I understand. I will find the killer." With that, he turned to leave, but Jing Feiyao spoke again. "Li Ren, how is the preparation for the Heaven Spirit Pill going?" Xing Li Ren shook his head. "The alchemists haven't all been found yet." "How many are still missing?" Jing Feiyao asked. "So far, we've secured 5 third-rank alchemists. We still need 4 more, Xing Li Ren replied. Jing Feiyao said, "The spellcraft gathering is fast approaching. What are your plans?" After a moment of silence, Xing Li Ren replied, "I plan to search other islands and try my luck there." Jing Feiyao said, "Third-rank alchemists are rare. Finding 4 more in such a short time will be difficult. Moreover, convincing them to travel long distances to Fong Island and refine pills for you is even harder." Xing Li Ren looked at his mother with confusion, unsure of her intentions in bringing this up. Jing Feiyao continued, "Your uncle could lend you a helping hand in this matter." Xing Li Ren frowned but did not immediately respond. His uncle naturally referred to a member of the Jing family. Xing Li Ren knew the Jing family wouldn't help him for no reason. His uncle must have ulterior motives. As the legitimate son of Xing Gaohan, Xing Li Ren already had a strong backing within the Xing family. He didn't need to rely on the Jing family. Maintaining close ties with the Jing family might lead to accusations of collusion with outsiders, which could be used against him. Xing Li Ren shook his head and said, "There's no need to trouble my uncle. I can handle this myself." Jing Feiyao said, "Li Ren, I understand your concerns, but sometimes one must learn to adapt and weigh the situation." News from Cloud Sky Peak indicates that Xing Yishuan has recently advanced to the peak of the Golden Core stage. Cloud Sky Peak was another branch of the Xing family located in the northern part of Fong City. Though it was not part of Xing Li Ren's lineage, the mid-stage nascent soul cultivator Xing Wenyao, an elder of Cloud Sky Peak's branch, served as its patriarch. Xing Li Ren narrowed his eyes, revealing a thoughtful expression. Xing Yishuan, a genius from Cloud Sky Peak, was about the same age as Xing Li Ren but had already advanced to the peak of the Golden Core stage. This posed significant pressure on Xing Li Ren, who aspired to become the next leader of the Xing family. After a moment of contemplation, Xing Li Ren asked, "What does uncle want in return?" A smile appeared on Jing Feiyao's face. Your uncle wants the focused spirit stab technique. Chapter 430. Xing Liren firmly refused. That is impossible. Focused spirit stab is a secret technique of the Xing family. How could it be passed on to outsiders? Jing Feiya replied, how can your uncle be considered an outsider? If you one day take charge of the Xing family, he will be a powerful ally. Besides, he doesn't want the complete technique, only the first 2 levels. Upon hearing this, Xing Liren understood. His uncle, Jing Lai, only requested the first 2 levels of focused spirit stab because he knew that Xing Liren only had access to those levels. Trading family secrets for personal gain was a slippery slope. Once it started, it would inevitably lead to a second and third time. Xing Liren shook his head. Mother, please thank uncle for me. As for the matter of refining the heaven spirit pill, I will handle it myself. After speaking, he turned and left the hall. Li Ren, don't be so hasty in rejecting the idea. Think it over carefully, you might change your mind. Jing Feiyao's voice followed him as he walked away. Songwen spent 2 days in Fang City and its black market gathering auxiliary ingredients for refining the earth spirit pill. However, he did not immediately start the refining process. He only had 1 vial of the Tide Beast's blood essence and soul. If the refining failed, it would be exceedingly difficult to find another Tide Beast. Even Xingzhang had taken years to pinpoint the Tide Beast's location for a lone rogue cultivator like Songwen. The task was even more challenging thus. Songwen spent a month meticulously studying the Earth Spirit Pill's refining process, analyzing every step in detail before beginning. Perhaps due to this careful preparation, the refining went smoothly, and in just 10 days, he successfully formed the pill with the Earth Spirit Pill in hand. Songwen began cultivating the first level of the focused spirit stab technique. 2 months later, having grasped most of the first level, Songwen followed its instructions to mobilize the soul force within his sea of consciousness to condense a blade of spiritual energy. The process, however, was not easy. Although Songwen could control his soul force with ease, compressing it into a blade met significant resistance. The soul force pushed back strongly during compression, preventing the blade from taking shape. Songwen then consumed the earth spirit pill. As the pill dissolved, a formless power flowed into his sea of consciousness. This power suppressed his soul force, reducing the resistance and allowing the spiritual blade to gradually take shape. A translucent blade about 1 inch long emerged from Songwen's forehead, hovering in front of him. The blade was intangible and invisible to the naked eye but could be sensed through spiritual perception. Under Songwen's control, the blade danced in the air within the cave, sometimes moving slowly, other times swiftly. Suddenly, the blade accelerated and pierced into the stone ceiling, disappearing without a trace. The stone remained unscathed. The focused spirit stab targeted the soul and spiritual consciousness of cultivators or the soul of ghostly beings. It had no effect on physical objects. This made the technique highly dangerous, as conventional defensive artifacts offered no protection against it. Only soul-protecting treasures or techniques could resist its attacks. Having mastered the first level of focused spirit stab, Songwen now needed to refine and improve it. To enhance its power, which would require months or even years of practice, Songwen stood up and walked to a corner of his cave. There, a goo cauldron held a sleeping sacred goo. Songwen placed a dragon pattern grass into the cauldron, sensing food. The sacred goo awoke and began gnawing on the grass. Over the past few months of cultivating focused spirit stab, Songwen had been feeding the sacred goo with dragon pattern grass. Initially, he had worried that the grass might harm the goo and fed it sparingly. Only in the past month, after confirming the grass was beneficial, did he increase the feeding. The sacred goo had consumed 30 stalks of dragon pattern grass and grown significantly stronger, but it showed no signs of advancing. Songwen understood that for the goo to break through to the 3rd tier, it would require a significant leap in its life force, a challenging feat. Thus, he decided not to rush the process. Feeling stifled from months of isolation, Songwen left the cave for a stroll in Fang City, using the opportunity to purchase ingredients for refining blood spirit and beast refining pills. As the spellcraft gathering approached, more and more cultivators gathered in the city. For many, especially rogue cultivators, the conference was an invaluable opportunity. The influx of cultivators brought rare techniques, treasures, pills, and herbs to the city. facilitating exchange and collaboration among practitioners. Song Wen even noticed rare high-grade spiritual herbs on sale in the market and seized the chance to purchase some third-tier herbs for future use. That evening, after exploring the city, he visited the Dark Star Black Market. Song Wen had 3 Xianyin stones, but to advance his silver corpse further, he needed 9. With the market bustling with cultivators, he hoped to acquire more Xianyin stones or sand crystals. Though he found neither, he did spend 100,000 spirit stones to buy a netherworld stone. This third-tier ghostly material, filled with purine energy, was perfect for enhancing ghostly entities like the Ghost King back in his cave. Song Wen handed the netherworld stone to the Ghost King, allowing it to absorb the yin energy within. Suddenly, a transmission jade slip in his storage ring activated. Song Wen retrieved it and saw it was from the jade slip he had acquired from Xing Chong. It was a message from Shan Yu. Why is she reaching out to me? Puzzled, Song Wen read the message. Fellow cultivator, I have a favor to ask. I hope you can help me. The tone was surprisingly humble, a stark contrast to her usual arrogance. Has she truly changed, or is there some ulterior motive? As Song Wen pondered, he sent a reply. Lady Xing, what assistance do you require? Thank goodness. I was worried you might have left Fang City and not received my message. The response carried obvious relief and joy, revealing her anxiety that Song Wen might have left the city.